Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another stream to kind of celebrate Lorne's book. What a fucking strange way of putting it. But yes, we are back.
Sorry,
We are back trying
my pizza.
with the third part of. It's not really the. Are we on the third? We're on the. It's the third video, but the fourth chapter. Have I got it right?
We are on chapter 4. I don't know how many videos we've done. Yeah, maybe you're right. I think we did 2 chapters in one stream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Now I wanted to have a quick. No, just to. I have to say this at the beginning of every stream. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Amanda James for transcribing this thing. So thank you very much.
you're welcome, and you do owe me. It is really tough.
I will never forget. Don't worry about that. I'm a man who pays on his
We'll,
debts.
we'll give you all the attention you deserve and say nice things.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Even if they're not genuine, we'll say them. But of
Yeah, I
course,
don't
they
care.
will be. Yeah. So I need to. Oh, where's that come up? Hang on. Get the chat box. That's not going to work. Right. So I need to have a quick discussion with you guys, and just. So how do we approach this? Because there was someone who mentioned when I advertised the stream, because they were kind of aware that I said we can't really critique it as one would a finished book for obvious reasons. This is the exception, of course, to for a lot of ways, is that this isn't written by like a writer. If a writer was writing drafts of a book and then the second draft came out and you started reviewing it, but this is a million miles away from that. But I suppose what I'm getting at is we're kind of critiquing the story all the time as we go through it because we can't help it. It's so ridiculous. But I suppose what I'm asking is it fair to do that before he'd even had a chance to reread it? Potentially. I mean, we don't know. He might have done that already, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
And for me, it's kind of impossible not to critique the story because it's awful. But my interest in it is what it says about Lorne's mind, his ideas of relationships, and in particular in this one, the gender roles I find very interesting. And just how he problem solves. When I was transcribing, I was thinking that's kind of, I think, how Lorne approached this story. There's a problem, and how is this main character going to solve it? Something as simple as collecting firewood. He'll go into great detail about it. Or, what's another example? Well, we'll get to another example in this chapter.
I'm sure we will.
But yeah.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it is too easy to attack the story. It's too easy to attack the his grammar and all that stuff. It's just too much. But like Amanda said, I think it's everything he writes is basically the main character is his alter ego. So, I'd like to see what he has to say when he's talking about fiction and fantasy and all this other stuff. What are the limits in his mind? How happy can you be, or how sad can you be? And it's pretty vanilla, in terms of that. But yeah, there's the literary value. There's nothing there, but the psychological value is a lot.
Sure, and it's a story. Like you said, Amanda James, you just can't help it. Like, even when we did the first video, I do believe I said something like, we've got to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. But you can't really do that. We know someone was kind enough to point out that even if he did reread it, what would change? Nothing. We know that for certain, and even like with the editing process of Taken Abroad, I believe 4 people read it. What input they had, we will probably never know. But we're not talking about the head of a publishing house or a English teacher or a journalist, has read it. We're talking Mother Gwen and maybe Roy. That they're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be able to offer much insight, really.
No, I think he had one of his aunts edit for him. I can't remember, but I'm sure they gave practically no input. Just like, oh, good job, Lon. That's real good. Publish it now.
We know, he's got such limited experience with the rest of the world. It's just his family. I think that he actually wrote this with his family in mind as an audience, that they would love it. And also Vern and all the people in jail, those guys, that's his audience. It's not, it's not a very highbrow crowd,
He did confirm while he was reading this book that his mother, I can't remember if I told you guys this or not, but his mother urged him to finish it. So he said which he never did, but according to him, his mother liked the story.
It makes me wonder now whether his mother really asked him to ask him to finish Taken Abroad too. I wonder if that's another lie.
Probably. I mean,
I don't think she gives a shit about anything he writes. She doesn't even read his letters.
Right. So he probably said, Mom, should I finish writing these books? And she said, yeah, whatever. And that meant...
don't forget, though, she had a financial interest in that book.
What?
Yeah,
What did you
say? She paid to have it, like, published or whatever. She paid something for Taken Abroad. I don't know if she thought she was going to get any like return on that, or that even Lorne would. Maybe she just thought she was keeping him busy.
Yeah, we ended up getting the value out of it, though. This whole community. Maybe we should do a fundraiser to reimburse her.
Yeah, but the problem is, if we do that, Lorne will just get that money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Eventually,
so
she's just a straw.
Unfortunately, that's not an option. Although it was a good thought. Right, shall we get cracking? I think it might be worth.
Yeah, and just excuse any typos or anything on my part.
We will not excuse any typos. This should have been done perfectly. Just like the author did.
I didn't get a chance to go over it and correct any mistakes. One time going through it was enough.
Actually, just before we get going, I'm glad you've kind of reminded me to ask you, without any spoilers, although you can see a big chunk of it on your screen now, how did you find going over this chapter?
Well, there are brief moments of action, but they're very, like Shin said, they're very vanilla. He's not good at he's not good at writing, obviously, but he's not good at like instilling a sense of terror or telling you how the characters are feeling. He just kind of narrates what happens, and as he's reading it, it's in this very monotone voice, which makes it even more boring. I mean, this is a monster that is killing his friends and is, after him and his pregnant girlfriend. You should get a sense of terror, and you get really nothing. You get collecting wood. That's where the focus is. So this chapter, with every chapter, I'm like, okay, it's got to be ending soon. Like, he's coming to the finish now. It's got to, and then like 10 more minutes will go by, and he's still talking about collecting fucking wood. But it's really tough to get through.
And he loves these jump scare moments too, that mean nothing. That don't further the story in any way. Like confusing the ranger's arm for a twig of, like, oh, yeah, the reader's supposed to go, oh my god.
Yeah, that only works on screen, doesn't it? When it's just the
exactly.
The audio that's playing a trick. You can't hear the audio from description, can you? He doesn't understand really what he's doing, and it's so cliched as well, isn't it? It's
yeah.
You can still have cliched moments as long as they're done well.
Right. Well, and they further the story,
Yeah, there's also very little dialogue. This is a group of people all together hiding and trying to figure out how to get away from this monster, and they're scared and they're mourning the loss of their friends, and nobody ever talks. And when they do, the dialogue is horrible. It is so unnatural and stupid. And every time the two main characters, Samuel and his girlfriend, fiance, mother of his unborn child, every time they talk, they're either saying "I love you" just over and over again. It's so annoying. Or they have this weird flirty banter, or what Lorne thinks is banter, like teasing each other in this really weird, unnatural way. We'll have a couple examples in here. There have been a few times when I just rolled my eyes into the back of my head because it was so stupid.
Sure is.
Somebody wants a recap. Who was that? Somebody I don't recognize in the chat wanted a recap.
I'd like to say a special hello to Shin's Manhole just before we get going.
Okay. Amanda, why don't you give the recap? You're so heavily involved with this.
Okay.
There's not much to say, I'm sure, but.
Well, there's a boy named Samuel. He is in high school. We started with Samuel on his first day of school. I assume it was his senior year. I don't know if they made that clear. Oh, we're missing the first 4 pages. So anyway, he's in high school and he sees a girl, Jennifer. He's been in love with her for 2 years. He finally gets the nerve to ask her out. And then within a very short span of time, I think it's 5 months, they are engaged and pregnant. And they go for a hike on Mount Katahdin. And they get halfway up the mountain and decide to camp there for the night. And then they find a dead ranger hanging from a tree with his guts ripped out and his arms ripped off. And they somehow decided that whatever is killing the ranger won't come near their fire. But yet the other kid, it's a group of friends. What was it? 6 friends, 3 couples. I'll go up on this mountain, and they a few of them keep wandering off to use the bathroom or whatever, and they get taken by the creature. We don't really get much detail. They're just gone with a trail of blood. So they're trying to get away, and they decide that they have to spend the night on the mountain. It's a better idea to spend the night on the mountain with this monster creature that is hunting them than try to get down in the dark. And they collect a lot of firewood, and I think that's where we left off.
Do you know what's just dawned on me? And it's so ironic. Tomorrow I'm going for a walk in the mountains in the late evening with a close friend of mine, if you get what I'm saying. How strange.
Well, make sure you bring a cell phone you never use in case you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything that these guys don't in the book. Although what I will say is that in horror films, the main characters are notoriously dumb. So we've got to give that to Lorne. But I think they're just dumb because Lorne's dumb. You know what I mean? He doesn't really understand the genre.
He's trying to portray this main character as being clever. He's the leader.
He's a coward. He's a coward. He's watching his... And was it Andrew? Poor Andrew.
No, it was Vernon, I think.
Oh, Vernon. Oh, okay.
Vernon and Whitney are gone.
But now, who was it that had a flashlight and got thrown in the air 15 feet and then came down, and they were only like 10 feet away from Lorne, Samuel.
That was Vernon.
That was Vernon.
Yeah.
So Vernon's looking for help, 10 feet away, and Samuel's crowding around the fire. Okay.
No, Vernon went to go to go relieve his bladder or whatever, Lorne, to relieve his discomfort.
The bathroom. Yeah. You keep saying that. The bathroom.
And yeah, he was like 20 feet away, and Samuel couldn't go help him because he couldn't leave the fire, and his pregnant fiance.
Another important part of the storyline is Samuel is keeping this information from the survivors. So they don't know what the fuck is going on.
Did he tell them at this point? I think I might be jumping ahead. Sorry. I thought.
Well, not immediately. Like, for instance, Ranger Cawthorn or Hawthorne, whatever his name is. It didn't say anything about that. And, they made a pact that him and I think it was Andrew who was with him. And then Andrew's girlfriend gets eaten up alive or whatever happened. And they still don't say anything.
Jesus, that's not a good omen. NWA Skeptic has reminded us of something very important. He said, I want to remind I want everyone to keep in mind that the creature is lost within itself and didn't used to kill and eat people. And the only way to keep good and to only keep good memories of the creature. So in other words, remember, we've got to feel sorry for the creature. It's not its fault.
I do.
That's right. Just before you get your head chewed off, you got to look at it with sympathetic eyes.
That was... Never mind, we'll start getting into Taking Abroad. Right, let's crack on. So... It's funny.
Wait a minute. Errol just said he's a rehabilitated monster thanks to his mandatory creature class.
Well, that creature class is surely a bit shit, isn't it? Although you never know what's going to come of it in the... I don't even want to know. I've already got... Because I think the task is just to remind everybody of this. If this is unfinished, I task each one of us to come up with our own ending to this story. So we'll come to that.
We should have a contest, and the loser has to do
it. Well, maybe, but we'll figure that out at the end. But I think that could be a bit of fun. Right, okay, let's get going, shall we? Chapter 4. When daylight came, Sonia walked over to look at Vernon before covering him with a blanket and waking the others. Do you really want to waste a blanket? He woke Jennifer first and explained to her what happened when Vernon woke him up to keep guard. All Jennifer could do was cling on to Samuel, rest her head on his shoulder, and let the tears fall from her face. Jennifer asked Samuel to let her tell Holly. She thought it might be easier for her to hear it from another female. Okay.
What?
What?
Your boyfriend's dead. Oh, I'm so glad that another female told me that. It would have really hurt coming from a male.
What the fuck has that got... Do you know what you was talking about earlier, Amanda James, about... Lorne's gender roles? Isn't this kind of an interesting, potentially, I might be reading into it too much, but why does he think that hearing such terrible news from another female, is going to somehow make any kind of difference? I mean, understand the context here.
I can tell you.
They both have vaginas. That's why, Andrew. What the hell's wrong with you, man?
I know Lorne's weird mind. I've listened to enough of him to, I think, understand. It's like when he says he works better with female therapists and counselors than with males, and he was pressed on why, and he said because females are more gentle.
Oh, it's not a fellowship thing. It's not like a camaraderie thing amongst females.
It could, but
okay. Wouldn't she be make her even more frightened if she was frightened, telling it, not giving any kind of assurances?
Yeah, you would think so. He's weird.
Yeah,
and
the
girls in the girls in the story are just incapable of doing anything but crying, really. They don't.
Well, tears rolling down their cheeks, a lot of them.
There's a lot of hugging and kissing and crying. Nothing like, what can I do? Let me help. Let's plan together. He doesn't see them as equals or peers. He's got to protect the women folk.
Can I ask, how many people started out on this journey? 6, right?
Yep, 6.
And there are 2 that are gone now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 4-person group keeping secrets from each other? That's kind of weird.
Well, he has to protect the women. Him and, was it Vernon or Andrew? I think it was Andrew, when they found, like you said, when they found the ranger hanging from the tree. They don't want to stress the girls out by telling them there is a dead human being in a tree with his arms cut off. That's kind of important information that they should know. I mean, what if they, in the middle of the night wandered away from the camp on their own to use the bathroom or something? Like, that's kind of important information. But he didn't want to stress them out. Did he say he didn't want Jennifer to lose the baby?
Yeah, he did.
You there?
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting for you to speak. Oh shit, I thought my internet had gone down then. Not jinx it. Sorry about that, guys, but you thought we were gone as well. Right, okay, shall we pick up where I left off at that stupid place?
Yeah.
Right, okay. You tell Holly. You tell Holly and I'll wake Andrew up and tell him, Samuel exclaimed. They gave each other a kiss before going off to tell their friends about Vernon. As Samuel was telling Andrew, they heard a loud cry come from Holly that told them that Jennifer had just let her know about Vernon. It's a strange way of putting it. Samuel and Andrew came out of the tent where Andrew had slept and joined the girls. Holly's face was pale with sadness and fright as Jennifer hugged her close. Samuel put his hand on Holly's head and tried to comfort her by saying, "We're going to get you through this, Holly, but you're going to have to remain strong, okay?" Holly shook her head yes in a nervous and scared way. They gathered up the things that they'd need to take back down the mountain with them. They left behind the things that would only weigh them or slow them down. He has a strange way of wording things, doesn't he? You not think?
He really does. Yes, he really does. He adds in so many unnecessary words to, I'll point it out when I find a better example.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's annoying.
It is weird. It's difficult to read. I almost feel stupid when I'm reading it because I can't seem to form the sentences. It's quite difficult.
I feel good when I'm typing it. It makes my brain feel like it doesn't work properly.
That's exactly what I feel like when I'm reading it. That's a great way of putting it. There's only Lorne that could write something like this to make the reader feel dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I think you caught it perfectly, Amanda.
It's tough.
No, she did, of course, but she felt dumb when she was writing it, is the point.
How tempted were you to edit while you wrote it?
Very tempted. Very, very tempted to edit it and to add my own commentary to it. I kept having questions pop up. Like the question we just talked about, why would it be better for a female to tell her that her boyfriend was eaten by a monster? And why did just one person? I mean, why couldn't they both go to her and say, "Hey, Holly, Vernon just got his head chewed off," or whatever? It was just so strange. His mind is so strange.
Right, okay. They put out the fire and started down the mountain. As they walked into the thicker forest, Samuel began to get an uneasy feeling come over him. Like there were eyes... like there were eyes watching them as they walked along. He grabbed Jennifer's hand and told Holly to grab Jennifer's hand and Andrew's hand. What the fuck?
Why didn't he just say he told them all to hold hands?
Oh, Jesus. Andrew remained in the back with a flare gun, and Samuel played lead in the front with a ranger's gun. Samuel eased the group along, watching and listening very cautiously. Then a snap of here we go again. Then a snap of a branch covered the quiet air, and cold chills ran down the spines of all four individuals. They then heard another snap of a branch that was closer than the last. Samuel looked ahead to the right of the trail and noticed a big hole in the side of the mountain. It looked like a bird's cave. Okay. He knew that birds don't make caves, Lorne. They just fucking. He didn't plow out a big fucking hole in a mountain, do they? Like fucking Burr Construction Limited or something. Fucking idiot. He knew that it wasn't a good idea, but he also knew that if there was a bird in it, it would be sleeping. They would, but at least what the fuck? What the fuck is he going on about?
See?
Fucking sleeping birds and fucking holes in mountains.
Oh, God.
Is this a comedy? It's not a comedy. I I'm laughing already.
Somebody said it's like a Scooby-Doo
Scooby-Doo, yeah, I said that
episode.
last time.
Right.
That's a perfect comparison.
Oh my god. Oh, jeez. Right, you. What are you guys is gonna have to start? I've had enough. Right, where are we up to? Right, I couldn't start at that sentence. I couldn't really finish it until I burst out laughing.
No, okay. He knew that it wasn't a good idea, but he also knew that. Sorry, you made me lose it. Oh, he knew it wasn't a good idea, but he also knew that if there was a bear in it, it would be sleeping, and they would at least stand a better chance than out in the open like they were now. At the count of 3, Samuel said quietly, we're all going to run to that cave. They all agreed, and Samuel started the countdown. 1, 2, 3, run, Samuel yelled as he clenched tight onto Jennifer's hand. Andrew looked behind him as he was running and got the first look at the creature that had killed their friends and was now trying to kill them. Oh shit, he yelled, run! Samuel and Jennifer made it to the cave and started encouraging Holly and Andrew to run faster. Finally, they made it to the cave. Once they were all inside the cave, Samuel turned on the flashlight just to turn around and find that if he would taken one more step, he would have fallen a good 150 feet to an underground river. There's a boulder in the way of the entrance to the cave, so whatever that creature is, it couldn't get past that boulder or we'd all be dead right now, Samuel explained. The only problem now is that he has us trapped in this place with no way out, Andrew replied, still breathing heavily from the hard run through the deep snow. Let's just rest here a while and catch our breath back and think. Andrew, grab that stick by your foot and poke it out of the front of the cave, Samuel said.
How big is this fucking hole in the cave? Poke your stick out of the front of the cave. What the?
Apparently it's not big enough for the creature to get through, but it is big enough for these 4 people to get through.
Right, and it's not. Right, so this creature's huge, bigger than a bear.
Right. I don't know if we got the description of the creature yet, but we will.
Oh.
Well, based on his handiwork, he's more like the predator guy. You know, we talked about that. He's hanging his prey upside down and gutting them.
Yeah,
we never know many wild animals that do that.
Well, he just said he got his first look at the creature, but he doesn't tell us what the creature looked like. There was just a creature, and he yelled.
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
Samuel said. Andrew reached in and picked up the stick that was about 6 feet in length and began to move it toward the front of the cave. Wait a minute. Let me get a shirt from the duffel bag to put on the end of the stick, Jennifer said. She placed the shirt on the end of the stick, and Andrew moved toward the opening of the cave. He slowly poked the shirt out of the cave, and nothing happened. Andrew turned toward the other 3, shrugged his shoulders, and said, the creature must have left. As he stood there, feeling confident he was in a safe place. Right after saying that, an arm with long, harsh-looking fingers and long nails reached into the cave just far enough to make a long gash in Andrew's side. The girls screamed, and Andrew fell to the ground in pain. The creature's hand reached in again, this time getting its fingernails planted deep into Andrew's foot. Andrew screamed in pain as the creature tried to drag Andrew to him. Samuel grabbed the gun from the bag, ran to the creature's arm, and shot the gun twice, severing the hand from the creature's arm. Okay.
Right. Right. Let's take a time out and take stock of where we are now, because a lot has fucking happened in this sequence. Like, so we've gone from people just being hung up to them making away, to a safe location, to them being chased by this creature, them hiding into a bear cave, to this thing somehow reaching the arm into this oddly sized cave that they can't see the creature, but they can see its arm. Mm-hmm. And this is just weird. Like, what? I don't really know what.
Well, Samuel shot the hand off of the arm. He completely severed it with the gun.
It was a good shot.
And I've never shot a gun, but
it's got to be a high caliber to knock an arm off like that.
Yeah, especially if it's as big as what we think it is from this idea that it can't get into the only thing it can reach into this hole, this cave fucking entrance is its hand. Is its arm. It's only its arm can reach in, but yet they can get inside of it, and a bird can make it in. That means it must be the size of like a rancor.
I'm thinking a Bigfoot kind of thing or something. I don't know what it is.
The description is odd. I'll tell you that when we get to it.
Does it?
Should we keep going?
Do they have a phone on them at this point?
Yes, he's had the phone the whole time, man.
There's no signal.
And they also have the ability to go down the mountain.
There's no signal in a bear cave.
I can't believe I'm getting actually emotionally involved with this thing.
No, you're not. Stop
it's so stupid.
I know, poor Andrew.
Oh, right, Shane, it's your go.
Oh.
Now. You read this next bit.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yes,
okay.
You.
The creature pulled its arm back and screeched a high-pitched scream of pain. Let's see, scream. Let's see, screech. Okay, never mind. Samuel reached down and pulled the severed hand out of Andrew's foot, and helped him back to a safer distance from the opening. Andrew still in pain, breathing heavily. Looked at Samuel and said, "Guess what I found?" "What?" Samuel asked. "I found out that he's still out there." What?
Oh, isn't that funny? It was a cute little, funny little.
Andrew replied as he looked at the severed hand of the creature, watching the blue neon blood flow out. Oh, blue blood flow out of it. Yeah, Samuel added.
Hang on a minute.
I noticed
blue,
that too.
Let me just stop there.
Conversation
blue neon blood. The Predator had green neon blood. He's just fucking swapping the color. This is never mind.
Yeah. It's got to be an extraterrestrial, I think, in his mind, in his pea brain. That's what he's doing. Let's see. Watch the blue neon blood flow out of it. Yeah, Samuel added. I noticed that too. Their dialogue. You're right, Amanda. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
They don't even talk about what they're talking about. You're right. They banter back and forth. That's about it. Well, we know that he only has one hand, Samuel said as he picked it up.
Before he got his hand severed or after?
Yeah, he threw the hand into the underground river. Okay, I would have hung on to that thing. He walked over to Jennifer to make sure that she was all right as Holly tended to Andrew's foot and the gash in his head. As he was holding Jennifer, he noticed something shining in the corner of the cave. Andrew reached out for the flashlight and turned it on. Pointing it to the corner where he had seen the shiny spot, he saw a long, heavy rope, about 4 to 5 gallon buckets of oil. I thought we were going to lead up to something there. He ran over to the oil and grabbed a can of it and set it in the center of the cave. This is the oil.
Why are there?
Sorry.
He saw the long, heavy rope. Okay. He walked over to Jennifer to make sure that she was all right as Holly tended to As he was holding Jennifer, he noticed He saw a long, heavy Samuel said as he opened up the spout and poured a little out of it on the ground inside the cave. He then reached in the duffel bag and took out a small piece of paper and lit it on fire. Then he threw it on the area where he had dumped the oil. The fire grew a little bigger and brighter so they could see better and get warmed up inside the cave. Okay, I can't do anymore. I don't even understand that. I mean, I guess they have fire now and they have oil and accelerant, and I thought he was going to make a MacGyver a weapon out of it or something.
I don't understand this river, right? I might be being stupid here, which I do a lot. Aren't they in a cave? So there's a river underneath the cave on the side of a mountain. I'm a bit confused.
I don't. Yeah, there's an underground river. So I guess they're in the cave, and when Samuel, one of them, ran into the cave, he shined his flashlight and saw that if he had taken one more step, he would have fallen 100 feet down to an underground river.
Was it like a sinkhole or something that you discovered? I don't get an artesian well.
Unless I'm missing something, there's no such thing as a fucking underground. Well, there are actually. You do find rivers underground, actually, like as part. Well, not rivers, but like areas of water and stuff. Mm-hmm. But not. Never mind. that fucking river's the least of this book's problems, but it just seems a bit odd to me. Right, yeah, thing is as well, like the characters have been through a lot. Like they've chopped off one of the creature's hands, so it's got hands, so we know it's some kind of humanoid creature.
It's a mammal.
Yeah, it's one of them's been injured, another one's been killed. A lot has gone on in such a short period of time with no build up, no tension. We don't know who the characters are. We know nothing about them, so we don't care if they get eaten or not. I'm
actually hoping Samuel gets it next, but that's okay.
Me too. I hope they all die. They're not.
I hope they're all hung upside down.
I mean, a real situation like this, they would be talking to each other. They would be trying to figure out what this creature is, what they're going to do. They'd be talking about how scared they are, how sad they are that their friends were killed. Poor Andrew's had he's injured. He's got a big, deep gash in his side. None of these things seem to matter to them. They are interested in eating now.
What are they going to eat, though?
Get some food. You'll see. It's funny.
Right.
Get some food in us. That's the priority right now.
Right. Let's crack on then, shall we? Okay. I'll read this next bit. They'd be
sorry, I read ahead.
Oh, you cheat. You always do that. They'd be able to think better once they were warmed up and got something in them to eat. Okay. Samuel grabbed the 6-foot-long stick that Andrew had used to poke out of the cave, broke it up, threw it on the fire, and looked for some more wood inside the cave, even though he knew there wouldn't be much. He threw what he found on the fire. Well, I don't know, dude. There's a fucking river in that cave, so anything goes. He threw what he found on the fire and added more oil to get the fire going better. Then he looked at the duffel bag and grabbed a ham sandwich for everyone and a bottle of water.
Ham sandwich, there we go.
He found a way to include ham in this story.
They ate ham sandwiches as they slowly died from smoke inhalation.
Right, that's a good point. There's no ventilation. They're burning oil in this cave.
Fucking ham sandwich.
I'll push that down.
This whole chapter is kissing and firewood. I feel like every other sentence I was typing something about Samuel and Jennifer kissing each other and Samuel looking for firewood.
That's how you build tension, guys. Then he looked at a bottle of water to share between the four of them. He sat next to Jennifer and gave her a kiss as he asked her if she was all right. I'm fine, she replied. Just wish I was in a better place with you right now. Well, obviously, what a stupid thing to say. I just wish there was. I'm fine. I just wish there wasn't a homicidal creature chasing us.
I wish you didn't take me up on this mountain. It wasn't such a great idea, was it? It wasn't supposed to be a day trip, by the way.
Yeah, he said that they weren't planning on spending the night, but they brought everything they would need to spend the night just in case they had to spend the night.
Okay. So, yeah, and you hike in during the day, and you could do Katahdin in a day, by the way. It's easy. But there's a big difference between carrying what you have on a day hike and a overnight hike. Obviously, you got to bring tents and sleeping bags and all of the other shit. So
right, that's a lot of shit to bring just in case when they're not planning on spending the night there. I don't think Lorne's ever been hiking.
No, I don't think so either.
No, he's quite clearly never been chased by some kind of alien creature as well. Then he looked he sat next to Jennifer and gave her a kiss and, all right, we've been through that bit. Me too, Sonia said. Me too. Fucking, oh, Jesus Christ.
Me too.
They both agreed that they just wished they were in a better place. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh,
Forget
Jesus.
about, shedding any tears over your friends you just lost.
Yeah, selfish bastards.
Sandwiches.
After they finished eating their sandwiches, they all sat quietly and relaxed. What? They were just chilling out around the campfire and, sing a few songs, Happy for you
That's what I
laughs.
thought too.
Samuel's mind was turning, trying to think of a way to get his fiancée, friends, and himself out of this situation. He added more oil to the fire and then suddenly remembered the rope. He looked to the corner. What's the Never mind. He looked to the corner of the cave again and saw the rope, studying the size of the rope. He decided to pick it up. He decided to pick the rope up and look at the shape it was in. It looked like it was in pretty good shape and was strong enough to hold him. That took a long time to get to the point where, oh, maybe we could use this rope. Jennifer, I'm going to tie this rope to a few of those big sturdy rocks inside the cave and lower myself down to the river to see what I can find out about it. Find out about what?
Didn't he say how far down was it? Did he say 150 feet?
Yeah.
That's a lot of rope.
Yeah.
You know? So he's going to rappel down? Okay, you know what? How many times do we start out a comment? We start something out and then we just, never mind. Forget it.
There's just no...
This river really confuses me. Like, where does the river go to? Shouldn't they all escape into the river? If it's a river, it'll connect to the ocean. If it connects to the ocean, you can get out of there.
Well, I mean, you'll see.
Right, okay, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Maybe I'm not giving him his fair due. Sorry, Lorne.
You know, it's not true at all.
No.
You give him too much credit. But...
Help guide me down there. Okay, Samuel asked her. Even though she wasn't very happy about this idea, she reluctantly said okay. Samuel tied the rope to the most secure place he could find and started lowering himself down to the river after giving Jennifer a kiss and telling her that he loves her. Fuck off. Once he got down to the river, he noticed that the openings were underwater by about 10 feet. He noticed that the only openings... Well, I'm really confused now.
How would he know? How would he see? He can see an opening under the water in a dark cave in an underground river?
I don't understand what he's trying to... He obviously had an idea in his head of what this place was. He's conveying it in a very confusing way, but I don't understand. Not only is this... Actually, the fucking creature makes more sense than his surroundings. That's the ironic thing.
Yeah, it would be pitch dark down there. They're in a cave, and it's at night. And this is an underground river 100 feet below.
What does he mean by the only openings were underwater by about 10 feet? What does he mean by that? Openings to where?
Well, like, how would he know where they go?
How would he even see them?
Yeah. He's got that flashlight, though.
Has he?
Yeah.
Right, okay. He's not... Right, but that's still... Right, okay. If he's got a flashlight... Right, forget it. Right, Amanda James, it's your turn now. Please.
Show me, we highlight it. Pulling himself back up to the cave took a long time, and Samuel had a few scary slips on the way back up, but he finally made it back to the cave. Tired and out of breath.
Sorry, can I just stop you? You know what's funny about that is Samuel had a few scary slips on the way back up. So he basically wants you to buy into the fact that it was a really dangerous, scary, exciting climb back up, but rather than actually explain it to you in writing and language, he just wants you to accept that happened to make the story better without actually writing it.
And he's saying that he climbed up a rope 100 feet or over 100 feet. He just climbed it. Just like hand over hand, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Samuel's the protagonist in this thing, right? He's the hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to do that.
Tired and out of breath, Jennifer...
Sorry, mate.
That's okay. Jennifer had to pull him onto the flat ground. Then she added more oil to the fire to help him warm up faster. Once he was able to talk again, he let her know that he was pulling together a plan to get them out of there. He just needed to do a little more thinking to make it come together. After resting for an hour, Samuel got up and started working on his plan. Grabbing 2 of the 3 buckets of oil that was left, he began to open them. he began to make 2 trails of oil from the center of the cave back toward the opening that would meet at the opening. That's what he said. I want to make that clear. That was a mistake on my part. Then he dunked the rope into one of the buckets of oil and let it soak in the fibers of the rope.
Right, let's just take a little break because Gorilla Face Gwen has just mentioned that, and something we haven't picked up on is that it should all be dying in that little, not very well ventilated cave with fires fueled from oil.
That's
going.
what I mean, especially petroleum fire.
That's true. Jennifer kept the fire going inside the cave while Samuel got his plan together, and Holly was taking care of Andrew. How's he doing? Samuel asked Holly. He's doing better now that I haven't patched up, Holly replied. Can he move? Samuel asked. Not very well, Holly answered. Samuel thought for a minute. You're going to have to help him move then, because once we leave this cave, you 3 need to keep running while I light the fire and try to push the creature backwards into the cave, Samuel explained. Okay.
Hold on a sec. So he has a plan, but he hasn't thought about it yet. First of all, that's interesting.
Well,
and secondly, Andrew is somehow totally incapacitated and doesn't he just have a wound on his foot?
He can't do anything.
Side. His injuries have been very poorly explained, and according to this dialogue here, he can't even speak for himself.
And he had a creature's hand impaled his foot. The long fingernails dug into his foot, and he's got a long gash in his side.
Is it venomous? Is the creature venomous or something?
Who the fuck knows? Lorne doesn't know.
Okay, then shake it off and walk it off, buddy. Come
on. Shin, do you want to take it from here, dude?
Where am I? Where are we?
Samuel
grabbed a branch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Samuel grabbed a branch that he had found in the cave that was about was about 2 inches around and about 4 feet long. He wrapped the oil-soaked rope around it and lit the rope on fire. Turning toward Jennifer, he handed her the flare gun and gave her a kiss.
Can they kissing? It's ridiculous.
I'll be right behind you, I promise, he told her. She clenched the gun in her hand as he kissed her lips one more time.
Jesus.
Fucking guy. I love you, of course. She told him, I love you too, he answered. Samuel picked up one of the buckets of oil that was half full after helping Andrew get to his feet. On the count of 3, start running and don't stop, Samuel demanded. 1, 2. Of course, you got to hear it. Samuel hesitated a little longer to take one more look at Jennifer, which is stupid because you do the count of 3 for a cadence, right? You don't hesitate on 3, right? And then did he kiss her again? No. And then said the final number for them to run. 3, run! Samuel shouted as he ran behind the other 3 with the bucket of oil. When Samuel got about 20 feet away from the cave, the creature jumped down behind him. With the fired up torch in one hand and the bucket of oil in the other, Samuel turned around. He got his first look at the creature. He stood about 8 feet tall, was green in color, was hairless. Not many hairs down there. Had a cat-like mouth and a black dead eyes. It had a slight bend in its back line. Someone would have from lack of calcium in the
What the fuck? That's got to be the stupidest description of a fucking alien. He's like just start going into it. He's got a white blood cell deficiency that makes him like, what the fuck is he talking about?
What is a cat? I had a cat-like mouth. I'm trying to picture this thing in my head. A cat like little whiskers and like a cute little nose.
Green in color, hairless, dead eyes. It had a slight bend in its back, like. Is that it?
That's it.
I love the way he's diagnosed his vitamin and mineral deficiencies. I love that.
Is the cat-like mouth like a lion's mouth? Is that what he means? Like a jaguar? Like a big cat or like a little kitty?
This is Lorne somehow created the stupidest description of a of a fucking, the movies where they don't ever show it are better than this. You know what I mean? Where like it's just always in the background and you never see the villain. It just
Like
leaves it up to your
Cloverfield or
imagination.
something.
Yeah, it just leaves it up to your imagination. But like, it's just
This creature sounds like a big green hairless 8-foot kitty.
With a hunchback. That is the weirdest description. It had a slight bend to its back, like someone would have from a lack of calcium to their bones.
I know.
That's the way he could think to describe it.
What the
Drink more milk.
Jesus. I mean, this is important stuff, this, right? The book's called The Creature. And we get 2 sentences that, and what, like 30 words or whatever, and that just a colour, a height, the fact that it didn't have hair, the vaguest description of a mouth one could imagine, the colour of its eyes, and that it had a slight angle in its back. That's it.
We also heard it has long arms with harsh-looking nails.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we know. We've got like a vague description of its torso and one of its severed limbs.
And neon blue blood.
Ah, yes.
Oh, this part is stupid.
I'm rooting for the creature. I'm rooting for the creature.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I kind of feel sorry for it, really. Right, whose turn is it to read now? Is it back to me?
Every time we read, you remember that Whoopi Goldberg character in Ghost? When she's a medium for all these ghosts, and then she gets totally exhausted when a ghost leaves her body. That's how I feel every time I read.
Yeah, it's hard work, isn't it? It's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, okay. The creature looked at Samuel, then looked past him to see the others running. Forget it. I thought the creature was talking then. He said to the creature, "You're not getting through." He's having a conversation.
Yeah.
Whoa, forget it. You're not getting past me. Oh, my God.
You shall not pass.
Why does the creature understand English?
I know.
Then he stuck the torch in the snow with the burning end up. Well, but what? The torch?
Well, instead of sticking the torch in the snow, burning side down.
Yeah, because obviously you'd do that, wouldn't you? Yeah. He grabbed the bucket of oil and threw it at the creature, dousing the creature with it and leaving a slight trail of oil leading from the creature to Samuel on the ground. Samuel picked his torch back up as the creature looked at him in a stunned way.
The creature's just standing there through all this.
The creature had to stay still the whole time while this was happening.
He's just stunned, this creature. He's so stunned that Samuel yelled at him, said, "Forget it."
I think he's stunned because the creature's thinking, this idiot's actually trying to talk to me. What's going on here? Where am I up to now? Oh, yeah. So then the fire took a blaze in a straight line from where Samuel stood to the creature, lighting the creature in a big fiery ball. Arms swinging, the creature kept stumbling backward into the cave, catching one of the buckets on fire and making it explode. The force of the explosion threw the creature to the back of the cave and down to the underground river. That was some fucking miraculous particular trajectory that animal took. Samuel sighed in relief as he fell to his knees, trying to catch his breath. After a few moments, he returned to his feet and walked to the back of the cave to be sure that the creature was dead. I thought it fell down the river hasn't it fell 100 foot into the river? How would he know that?
That's a good question.
He stepped up close to the edge and looked at the underground river. There was no sign of life, so he started walking to join the others, following the tracks in the snow made by the others. He finally caught up with them when they were almost at the ranger's station. Fucking hell, they really did leave him, didn't they? This doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, what's the deal with this, with the sort of layout of this cave and this river and this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the important thing is Samuel saved the day.
With
well,
his
or so you
strange
think.
that worked out perfectly and threw the creature into the river after he unpredictably, flew into a barrel of oil and exploded. Samuel had that all planned out in his mind. Or so we should believe.
Did he ask the creature to stay still for like 5 minutes while he set this whole thing up?
I was
The
thinking
creature
that,
was very...
Don't forget, though, it was
just stood...
stunned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of chasing the others or attacking Samuel, it's a big homicidal creature. It just stood there while he doused him with oil and lit him on fire.
Also, you'd think there'd be some mention of his missing hand. I think he forgot.
I think he forgot.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right, okay. I think it's your... I shouldn't really ask you to do this, Amanda James, considering you were suffering enough to transcribe it in the first place. But I'll just ask you to read this a little bit here, please.
Okay. Feeling the wear on their bodies, they were relieved to reach the station. There was no signal on the radio when they tried calling for help because of the storm that was coming in. They were out of water and were thirsty from the extensive climb back down the mountain. Samuel and Jennifer had decided to walk down to the river to get some water for the four of them before it got too deep, and left Holly there to rebandage Andrew's wound.
Okay.
What radio? Where did they get the radio?
Yeah, they had a phone, didn't they?
Ranger station, right?
Oh, they're at the ranger station? Okay.
Yeah.
So Samuel has to go to the... Okay, I know what's going to happen. Okay.
Right.
He's going to pull from Friday the 13th or Halloween or something.
Do you want to read this next bit, dude?
Could you turn the light on for me on your way out, Holly asked. Sure thing, Jennifer answered. Samuel grabbed the canteens and a couple of gallon jugs and walked out the door with Jennifer behind him, turning the light on for Holly and Andrew and grabbed the flashlight on her way out. They made their way down to the river, which was about 100 yards away, relieved to be at the bottom of the mountain. Once they reached the river, they began filling up the containers with water. Jennifer had to move some rocks because she was in a shallow part. Reaching into the river, she reached down to pull out a rock. When she lifted it up out of the water, she stepped backwards and screamed as she fell. Samuel ran over to her to see what was wrong. Jennifer had picked up the severed hand of the creature from out of the water, thinking it was a rock. He did the same thing with the ranger's hand, confusing it with a limb of a tree. Samuel put his arms around her. She held him tight, freaked out and scared from the creature's severed hand. It's all right, Samuel told her. All she could do was cry as she held on to him tight, not wanting to let go. Okay. Once she was calmed down, Samuel finished filling the jugs, and the two of them headed back to the station. As they opened the door to the station, they found Holly on the radio. She had finally been able to reach someone. We're at the ranger station at the foot of Mount Katahdin. We need at the foot. They're at the foot of it. Wait a minute. They're down the mountain already. Okay. We need help, yours. Not like there's been a few murders up here. You got a ranger that's hanging upside down. You just...
Yeah, I'll give him this though. A quick, precise message. We need help is acceptable.
Yeah, especially if there's limited time. But if you got time, you might as well tell them that you're in grave danger and you got some.
If they told them the truth of this creature with green neon blood and it's hairless and it's got this calcium deficiency, they're probably not going to believe what they're saying. I think we need help is probably the best way.
It's got osteoporosis, man.
We've got a creature with calcium deficiency. Please help.
Sweep the leg. It'll break.
All they need to do is chuck a few stones at it and it'll fucking die.
I don't understand where they are. Are they down the mountain? They're at the foot. Does he know what foot of the mountain means?
Does he? He doesn't know. Well, do you know what a fucking underground river in a cave is? Because I fucking don't.
None that drop 150 feet. I've never seen one. Sorry. Okay. We'll send someone out as soon as the storm lets up. Oh, there's a storm. Did you know there's a storm, guys?
Not until he just mentioned it.
Yeah, not until he mentions it. So,
well, he said that they were trying. There was no signal on the radio because of the storm that was coming originally.
okay. All right. All the roads there have been closed, the man explained as the static started getting heavier and the radio once again lost its signal. Hello, hello, Holly yelled urgently, but there was no answer from the other end as she set the mic down on the desk and hung her head. Samuel looked over at Andrew, noticing that Holly had finished fixing him up in new bandages. Okay. He set the container of water down on the counter because we needed to know that, and poured Andrew, Holly, and Jennifer a cup of water. Then looked in the cabinets in the ranger station. Of course, that's where they were. Just to remind you, he had noticed a coffee pot on the counter, so figured there must be some weak coffee in one of these cabinets.
Right, let's stop here.
Yeah.
He couldn't have a story without mentioning coffee and the word coffee twice in the same sentence. And ham.
And ham. We got ham too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is brilliant. It's like I said, you can't. There's a little part of me that thinks at least Lorne actually did something and tried to write a book, but it's so bad that I can't actually give him any credit at all. Not even like a half point out of 10 for effort, because it's like, if it's gonna be this bad, just save yourself the energy. But the only credit I can give him is like giving us something to laugh at.
Ghost of Tony Farmer had a great comment. When he came in, he saw Jennifer on the radio with another guy. He got pissed off.
Yeah, like what UWA Skeptic has said. He's quoting The Simpsons.
Yeah.
We need help. Over. Chief Wiggum. Woo, glad that's over. I was scared there for a second. Oh, my God. Thank God it landed in that smoking crater. Right, I'll read on now. Do you know, he keeps mentions about cabinets and water containers and just pointless shit. You know what I mean? It's fucking...
Very mundane.
Yeah. How could he make a story about this creature as dull as this? Because he's somehow managed it.
Yeah, he's just describing every like little mundane task that Samuel does, like collecting the firewood, collecting the water. He grabbed the container and they walked down to the river and filled the containers with water and poured a cup of water and made a pot of coffee and looked for the coffee. That's what he thinks the story is. Yeah. And he said that before, like, I'm trying to paint the picture for the reader, but the reader doesn't need to know about the coffee. It's unimportant to the story.
Yeah. Right, okay. He finally located the coffee. But, hang on. He had noticed a coffee pot on the counter, so figured out there must be some coffee in one of the cabinets. He finally located... He just wants to say coffee as many times as he can. That's all it is, isn't it?
He was in heaven. Coffee
fixed up the pot.
Creature comfort.
Yeah, and made them all a cup. Nobody said a word. Okay. Samuel started thinking about his friends Vernon and Whitney, wishing they were still with them, and wondering why all this had to happen to them. Where did that creature come from? He asked himself without speaking. He asked himself without... What?
I know.
He's just...
Yeah.
And he thought. I think he's saying he thought.
Yeah, I know, but it's just a strange way of putting it. Oh, gee, you know, this is...
Also, the question...
I'm actually mad at him for writing this, even though he didn't intend for us to read it. I almost feel like I want to slap him. Anyway, he asked himself without... Right, Jennifer had finished her coffee and fallen asleep with it. How's she fallen asleep after just drinking coffee? I mean, I suppose people are... Never mind.
Well, because
it's weak coffee.
He drinks it all day and all night, and it doesn't keep him awake, not even
a
little
one bit.
Yeah.
Right.
He must have just luckily found some decaffeinated coffee. Jennifer had finished her coffee and fallen asleep with her head resting on Samuel's lap. He looked over at Andrew. he looked over at Andrew and Holly and noticed they had fallen asleep as well. Setting his coffee down, there's that word again, he ran his hand over Jennifer's head, stroking her hair. All he could think was, that God, I didn't lose you. He laid his head back against the
that just
wall.
made focus in this whole book, the relationship and the opening the doors and opening the tent flaps for her and holding her and kissing her every 5 seconds. That's the subject matter of this book.
Yeah, you're pretty much right, really. Listening to the music on the radio playing low in the quiet of the... Music on the radio? What radio? The Rangers radio? I thought it was a fucking CB radio. It's not got fucking Heat FM on it, has it?
No idea.
I think he's confused.
Hang on it. What the... So they just... Oh, fucking forget it. Samuel slowly faded off to sleep. He slept lightly, having thoughts that someone might try to contact him on the radio. You mean that fucking FM radio? He only slept a few hours before... Sorry, he only slept a few hours because of so much of the day's events going through it. Yeah, you've just been fucking chased by a yeah, there's been quite a lot going on there. He gently lifted Jennifer's head and slid a backpack filled with clothes under her. Then he got up to fix up another cup of coffee. He got like a character that's just obsessed with coffee. Oh, Jesus. He opened up the door to see how much snow had accumulated. Wow, he said to himself. There's about 30 inches of snow that has already fallen, and it's still coming down heavy. Fucking hell, they're not having much luck, are they? He grabbed a shovel so he could shovel a path in front of the door. Samuel returned inside after shoveling and began looking through the storage room. Now that there was some light coming through the window. What? Right. He couldn't look through it during the night because the light in the room was out and he didn't want to waste the battery. Oh, shut up, dude. Right, somebody else is gone now. Right, it comes back down to you, James.
There was a whole storage room full of supplies. There was food and blankets, even extra batteries if they needed them. Hanging on the wall in the back corner was a gun cabinet with a glass front for the door, but there wasn't much ammunition in the closet beside the cabinet. Samuel grabbed some food, a couple of cots, and some blankets and brought them into the main room of the station. He set the cots up and helped Andrew into one of them so he could rest easier, then set up the other cot for Holly because Jennifer was awake and began helping Samuel. They opened some of the food so they could get some food in their stomachs. It's not what I would normally want for breakfast, but I guess it'll have to do this morning.
Yeah, because you're going to start complaining about the food quality in this situation, aren't you? Oh, God, it's not what I usually have. I was expecting omelettes with mushrooms. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
What's for breakfast? I don't know. What is he serving them?
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
And why you mean just notice the guns and the ammunition? Wouldn't that be the first thing that you go to?
No, breakfast is first thing.
Coffee.
And playful banter between Samuel and Jennifer. That actually makes me angry to read. You mean to tell me I'm going to have to make you bacon and eggs in the mornings? Jennifer asked.
Fucking
God. Only unless you want me to die from my own cooking, Samuel replied. No, you can stay out of the kitchen and let me handle the cooking, I guess, Jennifer answered. Samuel smiled, thanking her for relieving him from the cooking chore.
Doesn't this make you hate him more?
It makes me mad that he thinks that that's how people talk to each other.
It somehow angers me. I don't know why.
His mother talks to him like that in Taken Abroad. Like,
yeah.
Or they talk to him
You're
like
right.
that. This like flirty, playful,
Daddy.
half teasing. Oh, that was disgusting. I hated that so much.
Dude, you've got an alarming ability to recall certain little intricacies from that book.
Well, it's not that they're never repeated, Andrew. He repeats the same shit, and then you're able to recall it very easily.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's not like you've done this once or twice with this the way that he thinks that men and women talk to each other. It's weird. And
yeah, and roles of mothers and feed animals.
Right, she'll do the cooking. After they all finished eating, Samuel tried contacting someone on the radio again, while Jennifer cleaned up the mess from eating, and Holly put new bandages on Andrew. See, Jennifer cleaned up because she's the woman, and Holly's being the nurse and taking care of Andrew. He looked over at Holly and Andrew as they were talking and thought again about their friends Vernon and Whitney. He thought of the way Andrew and Holly must be hurting inside from losing their girlfriend and boyfriend. Then he moved his eyes to Jennifer and thanked God that he hadn't lost her. While these thoughts about Jennifer were crawling through his mind, a voice came over the radio. "Hello," Samuel answered. "Hello?" the voice asked again. "We need help at the ranger station on Mount Katahdin," Samuel explained. "It's going to be another day before the roads are all..." Oh, I lost it. Sorry.
No, I've deliberately left it there so Shin can read the last part.
Oh, okay.
And split it up.
Okay, we need help at the ranger station on Mount Katahdin, Samuel explained. It's going to be another day before the roads are all cleared to that area. Just stay put, and we'll be there first thing in the morning," the voice answered. "But we have an injured man here, not to mention a couple of dead people and homicidal. Don't mention that there's a potential crime up here, or extraterrestrial that the Department of Defense might be interested in." He replied, Hello, are you there?" Samuel asked. The signal was gone. I mean, that would have brought him up there faster, don't you think? All they could, there's no such thing as helicopters either. All they could do was wait. At least we have enough food to last us till tomorrow. That's the important thing. Jennifer said as she walked over and hugged Samuel. Again, these two. If we're going to have to stay here for another day, then I'm going to have to go to the river to get more water to see us through, Samuel said as he flipped his coat around and slid his arms in his sleeves. Jesus Christ. Jennifer gave him a hug and a kiss again. "Hurry back," she said softly. "I will," he replied as he put his snowshoes on and walked out the door.
And there goes the end of this chapter.
That's it?
That's the end.
Do you not think that was enough?
That was enough. Good.
It's kind of a long, drawn-out rescue effort here. I mean, the creature apparently is gone, I guess. My guess is it's not. But is this the last chapter that he wrote? Or is this the last chapter? Okay.
The creature is gone.
How much of the book have we got left, Amanda James, in proportion to how much we've already read?
I think we're about halfway through.
Oh.
Well, there's another hour of Lorne reading.
Right. Okay. Right. I don't know whether to be excited or sort of as scared as I'm feeling right now, really, because this is just a range of emotions when we're going through this. It's very strange. There's only Lorne that could make you angry reading this kind of a book. You just want to become homicidal towards the actual author. You're just thinking, what the fuck are you babbling on about, dude? It's bizarre. Also, the theme that underlies the book is, as we've already pointed out, is that how lovey-dovey the main characters are, and kissing and hugging and stupid banter. It's like he's got such a need to explain it that it just dispels any kind of other logic. Not that there is any logic in this book, but you get what I mean? But
it's so superficial. It's just Jennifer and Samuel kissed and hugged and said, "I love you." But they never talk to each other and talk about their fears, or there's no character development at all between them. The only dialogue they have is that weird teasing banter bullshit, which seems very inappropriate when your friends are being murdered and you're being hunted by an alien creature. It seems really unnatural to joke about breakfast and Samuel can't cook because he's a boy.
Yeah, and about dying, you just joke and go, "Oh, my cooking is going to kill me." You're going to joke about like dying in a situation like that?
Just weird to joke about anything when your friends were literally just murdered.
And not just murdered, even if it was like a serial killer or, you know.
Andrew, do you remember he used that same joke in his cooking video at the end? He had a graphic at the end, a text that said,
Oh, that's right.
don't blame me if you get sick, whatever it was.
He was trying to do himself a
Remember that?
legal disclaimer in case somebody followed his fucking cooking and died, which is quite funny. But
what makes him think? What makes him think that he's an author?
I was just going to ask a question to one of you guys, actually related to what he just said, Shane. Do you guys think that he's ever actually read a book, a novel?
Yeah, we know that from prison. Louis L'Amour novels, cowboy novels. He reads really slow. I think he read the Old Testament or read the Bible at some point.
No, but that's not a novel, is it?
No, but I'm thinking reading, just reading.
No, but has he read a novel?
Sounds like he might have read some like young adult fiction, and that's kind of what he bases his books off.
Yeah, but there's no other influence in this but his.
Yeah, I would think he pulled this story from a movie or from a bunch of different movies, just cliche horror movies.
Yeah, it sounds like Predator to me.
Yeah, the neon blood and the hands and the I'm as I'm thinking about how he described the monster, for some reason it makes me angry. It just makes me mad. I'm thinking, dude, this is what.
Well, let's try to find the source of that anger. I mean, it comes down to, why does he think he's an author? I mean, why does he think he has something to offer the world with his writing? What's his purpose? I don't get it.
It makes me angry because he's so clearly lazy with everything he does.
Yeah. But everything in my view that he does, like he writes, like for instance, Taken Abroad was about feeling sympathetic toward somebody who's doing the most heinous things in the world. That's him, right? In this case, Samuel's a coward, whatever, but it doesn't have the same kind of theme. But it always involves, something where he gets to redeem himself, in real life. This is who I really am. This, something like that. Forget about redemption. He's beyond redemption. We're just trying to find something human about him at this point.
He's a protector of women in his mind. He doesn't see Samuel as a coward at all. He's the leader. And he's willing to sacrifice his friend, his male friend, to keep the girls safe and his unborn baby. That's his main focus.
I think that what we were asking about, what does he think to offer the world? I think it's part of this narcissistic personality disorder, which, if there is a thing as such, if you want to give that any kind of tangible reality, I think Lorne does suffer from it. If you want to say even suffer from it, it's probably the wrong way of putting it, but he just thinks that he's good at things, and it's like I'm torn. Part of me almost respects having belief in yourself, but it's it's so misguided and out of place and arrogant. It's right, arrogance rather than confidence. Confidence and arrogance are two very different things, and it's like, I mean, this is unreleased. I know I keep saying that. You can say that maybe he never intended this to be released, but he wrote it with that, with that intention. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wasted his time on it. It's just very, very strange. Like, what goes on in that guy's brain?
I agree with NWA Skeptic too as well. I think that this is another one of his get rich quick schemes. He's thinking that he can write something and then get rich off of it. I think there's an element of that here too. And nobody has ever told him it's shit. That's the other thing. He had 5 editors on Taken Abroad. And I don't think any of them touched the book or even read it. And again, we all know that Lorne cherry picks things. If somebody says something, that can be interpreted as nice, he will take it that way. So if somebody says, "Oh, that's an interesting story" or something like that, not a great story, he will think, "Oh my God, this person loves it."
Yeah. He'll take that literally and not really look at the context, not really understand the context behind it, or who's saying it.
Somebody's being nice.
Yeah.
Well, and he'll exaggerate things that he perceives as compliments, like when he had Ramona call his mother and ask her what kind of person he is, and Lorne's mother finally at the end, she hung up, she didn't want to talk about anything, and then finally Lorne said, just tell her I'm a good person, and his mother said, well, normally you're pretty good, and then hung up. Lorne turned that into, my mother said I'm normally a very good person.
Right.
She didn't say that.
Definitely a glass is half full guy. There's no question about it.
It's so funny as well that the creature closely resembles the predator monster. I just think the parallels to Predator is quite amusing.
Erdo brought up another good point. All his characters are intensely unlikable, just like him.
I don't dislike them or like them. There's not enough information for me to dislike. I haven't formed any kind of opinion of them. It's a little bit like trying to It's a little bit like trying to dislike Kayla. What's there to dislike?
I dislike his characters because he clearly they're him, or he, and he's incapable from writing from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So Samuel is him, what he wants to, portray to the audience. That's how he really is inside. He protects women.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's been interesting. I'll say that. It's been painful, interesting, funny, enraging, confusing,
funny.
Yeah, almost inspiring. And I mean inspiring in a way that thinks maybe I could do better. Maybe I could actually write a fucking book if this is, yeah. But I'm certainly not going to try. And also, with regard to, you were saying, what does he think he has to offer? I don't read a lot of novels. I have to embarrassingly say the majority of novels I have read are Star Wars novels. I prefer to write fiction. I prefer to read non-fiction, like true stories and things like that. But I read a lot, and I know that writing a novel is so difficult. Like, I read these books and I think these people are really clever. Like, it's so difficult to do. You're talking years of study and training and editing and rewrites and things, and it's like, and he comes out, I mean, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's like a third grader wrote it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like a kid wrote it.
However,
it's so funny how he keeps. Sorry.
No, go on.
It's just so funny how he repeats the same themes over and over again. Or the same subject. The idea of really paying attention to every last detail of a movement of a character. Goes over, puts the light switch on. It's the same thing. The idea that that everyone loves and adores this one character, even though we can't figure out why. The ham always comes up. The coffee always comes up. We can go down, and the creature is even in some form. It could be the athletic suicide bomber guy. There's always the same theme.
Yeah. I am glad though that we decided, or that I, because I was having a wrestle with my conscience about whether to do this, but I'm just for the laughs, purely the laughs have made it kind of worthwhile. And I'm going to justify, like I said before, I'm going to justify it by saying I couldn't let Amanda James do all that work for nothing.
Yeah. That's what convinced me to come back to do it.
So maybe we may continue next week, depending if Amanda James gets the time to transcribe. If not, and you're all free, we could quite happily go back to the chat log because.
Which is his best writing, by the way.
Yeah, everybody says that. That's still my favourite part of the whole Lorneography thing. And if you think about everything that there is, everything that we've got, which is unbelievable amount of content, like it's still my favourite. It's a little bit like the debut album from like one of your favourite groups. You'll always love that first album. You know, there's something special about it. Yeah. But these little detours are good. They're quite nice, I think.
Yeah.
So, many thanks, Amanda James, for going through all those emotions that we've just experienced now. You've gone through them twice.
Yeah. It's very frustrating to do it on my own because I'm kind of yelling at my computer screen by myself or like throwing my hands up in the air like, what the fuck is he talking about? And there's no one to talk about it with me. So it's easier to go through it with you guys.
Have you heard the whole thing at least? I mean, I know it's not finished, but have you heard the whole thing and you just haven't transcribed it yet? Do you know what's coming up?
Honestly, I don't know if I can even remember it. I have heard it. And like I said before, when he reads, it puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
He has no emphasis on anything. You remember him reading the chat log with Debbie?
Yeah.
How he kind of read it all in that monotone. That's what the whole book is. It really puts. So on my first listen, I wasn't able to pay very close attention to it just because of the way he reads it. So I'm discovering new things as I'm transcribing it, obviously. But no, I don't know. I don't know if I can even say that I remember what happens. I remember a lot of kissing.
A lot of kissing.
I think there's some more coffee will be mentioned because that's important to this.
Of course it is. Right. Okay. So, thank you very, very much, everybody who has joined us. No doubt it's been as painful for you at points as well. But, you know, thanks for coming by because there's no point in doing these if no one's interested. And it's good to share our shame as well in being entertained by this stuff. So thank you very much. Thank you to Amanda James and Shins Koala for joining me as well. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. And I hope you can sleep good tonight, having experienced this creature.
And please forgive us for this. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have nightmares about that.
Nightmares about hands reaching in and grabbing you.
It's the slight bend in his back that really terrifies me.
Calcium.
The calcium deficiency was what terrified me. It's like, whenever whenever I see milk now or something like that, it's just going to freak me out. Thinking if only that creature would have. But anyway, right, okay, guys. So we'll leave